You guys, I found this video from the video archives and never put it up. So I'm going to start doing that because I think there's a lot of stuff that you guys might like. Onto the video. Short, like, little reminder video, and just a video about things you can expect to see when you are close to getting it pop in your reality, right? Because you're just merging with that reality. It's not really like you're creating anything. You're just literally lining up with that parallel reality. So it's, I like to say, merging, and you've heard me say this before, just merging with that reality, right? So you just know that that's really what's happening. It's not that you have to sit there creating anything, right? You just simply, merging with that reality or lining up with that reality. I've used both those terms. So I'm gonna tell you a little story and then explain why it just is clarifying and why it means the thing that you want is actually closer to you. And I think a lot of people don't understand that this is part of the process. So yeah, keep on watching. So I had a situation when I was creating my SP, and I have many, many SP stories for you guys because I've been doing this for so long, right? I've literally been consciously aware that I was doing this for 15 or more years, right? I started meditating when I was 9 years old, right? Like, my mom gave me a meditation book. My mom's like a Zen master. Like, even though I had, an abusive dad, who was volatile. That's maybe why my mom was even able to, stay with someone like that, right? So it's like, there's good and bad to that. I think you should, I can analyze my mom in another video, but I'm just saying, my mom was encouraging me to meditate and do all these things when I was a young kid. So I've been actually doing this for a really long time. So along the journey, and specifically in the last 15 years, I've had a lot of experience creating SPs and understanding what goes on and how I did it and why certain things happen, and just fully getting the process, right? So at one point when I was recreating the relationship I currently have now, and that was, even that relationship I created multiple times, right? So at one point, I forget which time it was, but I actually met someone else. We had split up at some point. I just was like sick of dealing with that for a little while. I needed some space, and I had gone traveling, and I thought, like, okay, yeah. And I sort of got open to seeing others. So I met someone and I started dating him, and it was about a 3 to 4 month, maybe even 5 months total, because I had to get to know him, and I don't jump into relationships right away, like, ever. So I was getting to know him and having a good time. Just, we're still really good friends. He's a really interesting person. I love creative, intelligent, interesting, kind of off the cuff type people. So he really struck me, and, I explored a relationship with him, and we were together for, together for maybe only 3 months, but it made me realize just, character-wise, certain qualities. There were things that I felt were missing with this guy that I was, seeing, and he was still amazing and still, like, one of my really good friends, so there was a lot of good to it. But in the end, I realized, there's so many qualities that I'm not even in the frame. I just realized half my head's cut off. Not half, but there we go. So I realized there's so many qualities that he had that, hold on a second. That are amazing about him, but there were so many that I felt were missing that it really clarified for me that I do want my SP. And so that was one of the moments where I could have been like sad, and I kind of was a little bit. I had the thought like, oh, this is kind of sad. Like, I wish I was with my SP, kind of, I felt like, oh, there's so many things that, like, I miss about him. But I turned the thought around and I realized that actually it was a good thing. I felt like, oh, this is so good actually, because I would never have known these things that are really true to me that I actually need in a relationship, right? That weren't really here. And it's not like I could have changed. I definitely could have changed him and, gone through all the process, but it was just, there was something about my SP and I almost couldn't even put my finger on some of it, right? And that's in some ways how you know that that person is right for you, right? Because there's a difference between the two people, and you almost can't even put your finger on it sometimes. But I turned it around and realized that was a clarifying moment for me. And so I want to encourage you, when you get clarifying moments and you may find yourself in a place that you don't want to be in, right? Because I was in that relationship when I got that clarifying moment where I was like, oh yeah, like this is actually what I want. But when that happens, it's actually a really good thing, because the clearer you are about what you actually want, the quicker it can come to you. And I know this like I know it, because I've done this so many times, and I used to be scared of the clarity. But you never have to be fearful about the clarity, because you are going to naturally, how do I put this? You're going to naturally accumulate clarity, right? Because we're constantly living. If we're observing our environment, and we're engaged, and you're a present person, as long as you're not like drinking all the time and totally checked out, you're going to be like presently observing your environment. So when you're doing that, you will gain clarity all the time. You're gaining clarity. That's what we're here doing, right? We get circumstances, we get people telling us certain things, we have interactions that give us clarity. The more clarity you get that points you in the direction of what you actually want, the better off you're going to be. Because the more sure you are about something, the more quickly, the more easily something will come to you. So I wanted to point that out. A lot of people don't talk about this or know this even innately, right? But the other thing I wanted to say is, you know these things innately. Like if I tell you anything that makes sense or that, that resonates with you, and some things I will say that don't resonate with you, right? And that's totally fine. Everyone is going to learn something different from everyone, right? But what I'm kind of trying to say is, don't take my word for it, right? But the way you know how something is true for you is you will feel a resonance in your body, right? So I want to just as a overall blanket statement, if anyone's telling you something weird, or you hear something from some coach or someone that doesn't resonate or feels bad in your body, that's how you know, oh yeah, this is not true for me, right? So there might be things that I say that are not true for you, right? That are just true for me, right? And that's the case with every single person on the whole planet. Like, you're not going to be able to follow everyone precisely, because you're going to have your own truths. And that's why we live in this multi-dimensional world. Like, we all have our own truths, and that's what is true for us. And that's the basis for law of assumption, right? It's like, let's talk about some other like just cool evidence that you might get when you are creating an SP relationship, or a new job, or a house that you want to have, that you are creating a new living environment, any kind of new situation you want to experience. You will start getting, like, of course, images of that thing. People will start bringing up going on vacation to that place or whatever. Like, you'll start getting these like notices in your reality telling you, oh yeah, you're on the right track, right? We covered the biggest one, which is clarity. I think getting clarity is one that people don't really get sometimes. They don't really quite understand that is actually what's happening. Okay, and then this other stuff I wanted to say. I'm actually rereading this book. Some of you have probably already read this book. I recommend it. It's an very easy read, but it goes into, I think Joseph Murphy was studied with Abdullah as well. So they kind of have the same ideas. He just explains it a little differently than Neville, but I really love reading things that are similar to Neville, but just kind of like a different way of explaining it. But I literally wrote notes in here for this video, because I was like, oh yeah, I gotta say that. So the other thing I would say, another sign that you're close to your manifestation or creation or merging with that reality, is what I like to say, is people coming out of the woodwork. Even if it's not guys that like you, you know, or girls that like you, it's gonna be something like, oh, some friend from like 5 years ago contacts you. Like things start, you'll notice your world starts like churning, if that makes sense. Like things in your world will start churning, right? Like things will kind of, some things will kind of be like mixed up, even if it doesn't seem good. Like let's say you get a flat tire, I would say that's still in line and also a sign, right? Because it's different. It's any kind of like random new experiences in your life are also notes or indicators that you're on your right track, because it's evolving you. Honestly, that's literally what we're here for. I had a really, really bad circumstance in my life. Well, quote unquote bad, but I don't really see anything as bad or good. But you know, it was literally a growing experience. It was a chance for me to find my peace in a situation and recognize my old patterns. So, or just it doesn't have to be sort of obvious, right? The obvious ones are that his name is brought up. The obvious ones are like, oh, someone starts mentioning that city you want to live in, or someone starts talking about a vacation to where you want to go, or someone starts talking about the dog that you wanted to get, or you see a picture of the dog you wanted to get, or your neighbor gets the dog that you want, you know, things like that. Those are sort of more obvious, and I feel like you guys would already know that means you're close to your manifestation. But you know, all these other things that don't seem quite as obvious are really good to pay attention to, because they can actually be even bigger indicators that it's right around the corner to, you know, popping in your reality. I say popping because we're just making things visible, right? They're already there, right? It's just there on a parallel plane, like existing already. We're just bringing it forth, or, you know, merging with it, bringing it forth, making it pop, you know, make itself visible in our reality. So another one is getting compliments. Like if people start giving you compliments on whatever, you know, maybe it's something that they used to compliment you on, or maybe it's just you. I mean, it's obviously you up leveling, you know, and becoming different. You know, you're merging with this new reality, so you're becoming different, and so you're noticing people noticing you differently, right? People will point out things that are different about you. Maybe like, oh, I like your new shoes, or you know, your style looks really different now, or good, or you know, I like your new haircut, or your hair looks different. Like people will start pointing different things out, or things that look different about you out. Like, oh, did you do something? You know, people will start noticing something different about you, even if it's in your looks, or your attitude, or the way you approach things, or, you know, even just your greeting on the phone. You know, it could be anything. It's just literally noticing you have changed in some way can be a major indicator that things are coming to you, right? That your manifestation is close by. So I hope this really helped you. I didn't want to make this video too long, but if you love this, thumbs me up and let me know what you want to hear next. You guys, I always listen to you guys. I love hearing your comments, concerns, whatever comes up. Just let me know. Anyway, love you guys, and I'll see you next time. If you loved it, please thumbs me up. It really helps me out and lets other people see what they need to see, you know, and learn as well. So if you love Neville and you love changing your life and transformation and law of assumption and my unique perspective, stick around. I'd love to have you. Bye guys.